Right, welcome back to another one. I kept my promise, we're doing more. It's what, a month later? So we've had a few changes since the last one. I am no longer on TRT, so we're back on a blast. I'm like week 4 of it now. So we're hitting sort of peak levels. So it's nothing crazy. 100 tests, 500 primo, that's it. That's usually all I run, to be honest. Never really put anything else in on top of that. So that's what we're doing. And still on the leg focus split. It's changed slightly. It's not 3 leg days a week, it's an upper lower rotation, and there's 6 exercises, so there's three different blocks basically of just an upper and then a lower. Today is glute string and ham day. It's a hamstring and glute day with a bit of calves thrown at the end. So it is my party piece, basically, the thing which I'm relatively known for, my arse. So it's definitely genetic, but it's also not. So we're gonna run through that session today, which is quite fun. Some pretty heavy deadlift at one point as well, so that'll be good. But yeah, just cracking on with the off season. Thinking about like halfway through the off season now, so starting to think about next year and shows, and seeing guys like Niall win Toronto Pro on the weekend, and you're there like, what the fuck? You know, it definitely gets you fired up for actually inspired for stage. Spending such a long time away from the stage, I haven't not competed since I started competing again in 2021. So it's been a bit of to take a whole year out. I'm like, ugh. But it's got to be done. Got to get big. 109 kilos at the minute. It is feeling it. I played golf yesterday and I was like, you walk 18,000 steps and your feet certainly feel that being that heavy. So you're like, ugh, by the end of it. So no, we'll have a good session today and just chat the normal general shit. So let's get on with it. Right, first exercise. Just gonna warm up for now. Adductors. And I have been stacking this machine before, but then I thought, I'm not really going that wide. So I started going a little bit wider and trying to get a bit more of the stretch. And it does make it a lot harder. So I've been working it in that sense. We're going to get a prime adductor, abductor, and those are fucking heavy. But this goes to like 100 kilos and that's it. So until that arrives, I'm just trying to find ways to make it harder without it being purely load. So getting a big stretch and really trying to open up this area is what I'm trying to do. And this area of the legs, I know it's a bit of an awkward exercise to film, but the inner thigh is definitely an area on stage that if you lack both from the front and back, it'll be very noticeable. So front shots, like front relaxed, anything like front lat spread, you need the area, the space in between your knees to be filled. It's a bit like having no lats. If you're not filling that area here, it's just empty, isn't it? Same thing here. So we need that area filled, and this is the best machine for it because it completely isolates your adductors. Even if you're going super deep on like squats and leg presses, you'll catch some adductor, but not as much as you will do in this, which is why when you find people leave this exercise for a while because they've like filled the stack and they can't go any higher, when they come back to it, it's like, fuck me, my adductors are a wrecking because you haven't really been training them to the fullest extent. So always have this in to make your legs bigger, because you need, even from the front and back, you still need it from side to side in terms of the width. So 2 sets here, I believe. I always forget what's on my program, and then I have to try and find it. Jeez, I don't know why they put the sign on this thing, but it does help to get in and out of it. Fuck me. Oh. You get to lean on it after. I don't think there's no other exercise that like burns like that in the inner thigh. Like even calves, like you can make your calves feel like battery acid, but that's just like, I don't know, it's just all groin. They're like, it's gonna fucking rip. Oh, they're so graceful. Oh my god. Right, seated leg curls. Alright, next one, seated leg curl, 2 straight sets. I'm finding at the minute with this I can go really heavy on the first one, so I'm doing nearly the full stack for 10 to 12. And then the second one I have to massively drop off the weight to get it out. So that's interesting. Some people would be like, oh, well, why are you doing the second set? Clearly you fucked your hamstrings up in the first one. It's like, well, no. Just, you've obviously fucked them. I don't know if I'm not taking long enough between sets or something. It feels long enough. I don't care. Whatever. It's 2 sets. It still feels good on the second one. Just have to use a lot less weight. But yeah, quite simple. But these machines get fucking murdered with how people do them. You see a lot of people just trying to swing this arm as far back as it'll go. I'll do it with I'll show you. Fuck it. First thing you see is people trying to think they're going to get more stretch by leaning forward and think this makes the exercise better. You just lose all connection from about here onwards. Like, this isn't doing much. You know, I could do this all day. You're not getting any further stretch by doing this. You're just rounding your lower back. You're actually taking away from your hamstrings. What you want to do is sit back in the seat, press against it, push your hands into here, not pull into them. And that will actually give you a much better connection to your hamstrings. The other thing I see people do is this, to try and get it all the way back, and you end up arching the shit out of your lower back in order to do it. Again, that's going to take off your hamstrings and just put all that tension in your lower back. So what you want to do is almost like when you work back as well. A lot of people make that mistake of trying to get the handle as far back as it will go rather than to the point of maximum tension. So that's all we want with a seated curl, any curl really. Push your knees into this pad, that's what it's here for. So actively push them in to start the movement and you'll get tension into it. Then all you're going to do is come to the peak contraction, which for me is about there. Now, most people are like, oh, you're not going far back enough. That's as far as I can get in terms of full contraction. Any further back and I'm having to round my back in order to get it further back. And I'm not getting any more from that contraction going any further back. So literally just from here to there. And keep it controlled and work within that range. Don't try and overextend yourself into just going as far as the machine will go. You need to think about it in terms of how far you can go. So let's do the first set. Wow. Whew. That's the other thing I have with clients on sets like this. Even when you get into like the difficult reps and say you do one where it's a bit harder, that's not the reason to stop. You should get to failure in the contraction on these, as in the concentric plane of motion. If you don't get all the way into that contraction, stay there, try and push through it, and if you don't get it, go into a few partials. That's not the reason to end the set just because you haven't had a full rep on an isolation movement. Like on these especially, you can safely fail, so make sure you work into it and make the set harder than it was last time or than you think. You know, it's always about making the exercise harder and what you can do to push further with what you're given. You know, just because you can't do another full rep is not a reason to stop. So keep pushing into failure, find new ways to get there, push further, and you will see the growth. This is the plate loaded rather than the machine. The machine one, the stack loaded one, very good piece. This isn't bad, it's just getting in and out of it. And then the starting position is there rather than here. It's here, so you have to like pull yourself into it to then begin. So it's fucking annoying, but it is very good. What are these remixes? Justin Timberlake with some, I can't remember the name of this song. A lot of people try and get too much depth and let their knees come back like that. You end up putting a lot of stress on your lower back doing that as well. A lot of people let their back round and do this because it's easy to throw weight around like this. What you actually want to do is push your hips into the pad
scoop your glutes the whole time. Your back's gonna arch, your upper back's gonna arch, and you're just gonna have your shoulders just about on the pad. You're just gonna come from here. When your knees start to drift backwards, that's when you come back up. As soon as those knees drift back, that's when we come, because you'll start to lose tension from the glute and it will move to the quad or the lower back. So just here to there, yeah? Quite short range of motion, but it's already hurting. Oh, fucking hell. Oh. Just sit and contemplate life for a bit.
I never considered myself to be sporty when I was younger, because I was always like doing the weird sports. And like, I did a bit of rugby, but I was never any like good at it. And I never really considered that to be like a sporty sport, because football was like the sporty sport, and I was shit at football. But then you look back on it and go, I played golf from the age of 5 until I was like 13, and I played that to a very high level. And then was a rower in school, and that's basically like sadomasochism in the form of exercise. And then I did a bit of rugby, and I was in this, so I think I have been. Like someone referred to me as a jock once, and I was like, you fucking what? I was like, mate, I'm proper into nerdy shit. I was just like, I don't know, it's like several conflicting personalities. One of my clients the other day was like, because he came back after a bit of a stint off, and he was like, oh, I've missed your ADHD. And I was like, do I have ADHD? Am I like that? Guess so. Flat asses on stage. And everybody loves a front shot in classic, like front double, all that shit. But when you do the maths on the number of poses you've got 4 plus your favorite classic. So one of the mandatories is front. The others are all rear and side. And then your favorite classic is whatever it is. And they'll judge that on how you look versus other people based on how that pose fits your physique. So it could be anything. And then you've got quarter turns. One of those is a front shot. My point is, everything that's a side and a back shot, you've got glutes. So even if I lost, say, every front shot, of those 9 shots, I think it is, if I've got a better side shot and a better back shot, and part of the reason is because of my glutes, then I'm gonna win. Because statistically that's more shots. So this is why when traditionally guys have avoided training glutes, they're like, why would I do that? Now it's needed, especially if you're getting peeled, which in classic you just have to. If you don't have them, it's just an area of physique which is missing. So you need an arse. And like just skipping it because it's a bit gay, you're gonna miss out, and everybody else on stage with glute lines is gonna beat you. So I'd rather come across as a bit weird and win rather than losing out because I don't have any glutes. So. Okay, stiff leg deadlift, not a conventional. Conventional is going to be a lot more knee bend. You're going to get to like there. I've not done a conventional for fucking years to be fair, but it's much more like that. So a lot more knee bend. With this, we're going to keep them as straight as we can. That doesn't mean dead straight. That doesn't mean this. You're not getting any tension through the hamstrings doing that. You are just stretching them. Really dangerous position. I've torn my hamstring doing this before on prep. I just finished Fit X last year. The day after the show day, went to do like 210 on this. So it was a PB or something. And 5th rep of a 6 rep set. Put it on the way down, it just went whoop, and it like tore just there. Luckily, didn't have any impact on shows. I could still tense it, so it wasn't a problem. Just a bit bruised, but it's quite easy to tear stuff on this. So you got to be careful. Deadlifts are still a relatively tricky exercise, but stiff leg deadlift, it's a difficult one to get. Like, trust me, I've got quite a lot of clients, and I really have to drill it into them into how difficult or how the technique works on this. So you're gonna first off pull yourself into the bar.
So keeping the legs pretty straight, you're gonna pull your back into the bar like so, like that. Okay, so you're gonna really try and tuck those elbows. You're also at the same time gonna press your feet into the floor. A lot of people think it's like trying to heave the bar off the ground. Instead, you're actually pressing the bar away from the ground. I describe it as a leg press without bending your legs, which is fucking weird, but that's the one way I use to think about it, and actually how I lock into it a lot better. Because it's easy to be really loose on this. Like in a minute, played golf yesterday, I'm feeling stiff. Don't know how strong I'm gonna be, but you need these little cues on these exercises in order to get that tightness back into the set and actually feel the weight. Also, I used to do these, I ages ago did them with a belt, and then I was not really controlling the eccentric. Took the belt out to help a lot with just feeling the eccentric, and then got to a point with no belt where it just wasn't progressing anymore. It was limited by my stomach. So belt's back on now, and we've seen some gains. So this should be my last warm up. I'm just gonna do 1 or 2, see how it feels, and then we'll decide from there what we're doing today. Normally I would be doing like 230 and trying to progress that, but we shall see how this moves. That's why we only do 1, because now I can't see. I'm not just unfit, I promise. I'm just warming up. 2 sets here. Both straight sets, we'll keep it simple. Oh, I'm really trying to drive my hips forward on this. How we'll call it there. Okay. It's really good for the stretch. You're not going to get much in terms of the contraction, the top portion of the movement, but that stretch component, really, really good. And as me and Kaden were just discussing before, lots of people are like, oh, Nordic curls are shit. They're not very good at growing hamstrings. They're like, no, they're just really hard. So reverse Nordic like this. This has got just under my body weight on it. And trying to progress it is fucking hard. Like, not an easy movement, really good for your knees though. Because it's basically a lying hamstring curl but a reverse, and you're not going to get the same stimulus from that as you do this, because you're going at it from the opposite direction. You're still going to work the hamstring, of course, but it's just something else. Like, if you're weak at something, don't just leave it alone, work at it, because there's more than likely you'll start improving a lot in terms of adding muscle in a movement that you're maybe especially weak at. Like, I remember years ago, I'd never front squatted before, and I tried it. I can only do like 80 kilos for 5. By the time I got that to 140 kilos for 5, my quads are a lot bigger. So it is one of those, invest in the movements you're weak at, get really good at those, and you're more than likely to see a big result from it. Right, we're done. All finished. It's not a, how long was that? It's 1:30 now. We've been a while, but we have been fucking around. That session normally takes me about an hour and a half. So it's not
crazy long, but it is fairly challenging. Purely glutes, hamstrings, calves, just the posterior section. I like it, it's one of my favorite sessions. But yeah, it's not an area I need to particularly bring up. It's front side, quads. I do want a bigger back, but I always want a bigger back. So it's just one of those. It's a necessary work. I want to get my deadlift bigger. I want bigger calves, want better hamstrings. You can never have good enough hamstrings on stage, especially with some of the younger guys coming through now, or even some of the older guys. It's very evident you need a posterior chain. If you haven't got one, you're fucked. So keep on pushing with it and keep on cracking on. So got another, this push-ups post, I think it's going to be like 20 weeks total. So I'm in 16 weeks into it now, 109 kilos. People keep asking me what's like the aim for body weight. There isn't one. It's just like, don't look shit. Because my weight cap's 96 kilos. And last time out at like 93, I was pretty much ready. I was pretty much peeled, and then we have to get the rest off for the weight cap. But weight cap's significantly higher now. So should be all right in terms of making weight. So I don't think I'll, and last off season I peaked at 106. It was a very clean 106 to be fair. So we'll see. Another guy who's in the exact same boat as me is Eagles, like literally the same boat, because we're the same height. And he's just finished a cut recently. I did mine ages ago. But then I had a hell of a long time off gear. So it'll be interesting to compare on that front. I think we'll be competing about the same time. But in terms of the weights we'll end up to, I know he's like wanting to be around 250. That'll probably be, I'm like on the cusp of 240 at the minute, maybe just over, or just under, sorry. So I probably think I'll end up around a similar weight, except his waist will look much nicer than mine and his quads will look much better. But that's how that is. So interesting to compare. It's weird now because when I was in the amateurs, I wasn't comparing myself to anybody like openly, because you've got such variation in the amateur class. You got, you know, right from beginner all the way through to like top end amateur. And I was always like knocking on the door of top end amateur from when I, like about 2022-ish onwards. And now it's like you're bottom of the league, of the pro league. So you are back to doing that whole comparing yourself against others, thinking you're not good enough, all this, all that. And you sort of have to sit there and remember, like, look at Wesley Vissers, for instance, turned pro. Only 6 years later as he started really showing out and showing what he can do in terms of getting placings and winning shows. So if I have to sit along and take the best part of half a decade to start really showing out and doing well, and that's what it takes. Like, not all of us can be a Niall Darwin and absolutely smash the tits off it on your technically second show, but I don't, like, I've spoken to him about that showing for his first one, and like he was just not, he's 8 weeks post pro card and just really tired. Wasn't really fair, but he wanted to do it. So this I would consider this his pro debut, but whatever. Anyway, the point was, you don't need to rush things. You don't need to be in the mentality that you have to win your first pro show. You don't have to win your pro debut. Things might take a bit of time. Things might go wrong. You might pick up an injury. There might be a family occurrence, whatever. Bodybuilding at the end of the day, a lifestyle, not a pure pursuit of glory. It's very boring at the end of the day. Like, me posting on Instagram, especially at the minute, like, it doesn't get as much likes because I'm chunky and you can't really see much, and I don't lift the biggest weight, so it's not crazy, and I'm not getting mad engagement, but you shouldn't be. Like, it's the off season, it's dull, all you do is eat, train and sleep, and only in prep is it really the interesting part. So I would just say, like, you see a lot of guys who live for prep. Bodybuilding isn't prep, it's a very short part of it, like 12 to 16 weeks of a total journey. I spent like the best part of I didn't do my first show until 5 years in, and then, you know, the next one was like 9. So it's a long pursuit, and the hard part is sticking to it when it's boring and when not much is going on and when you've got to build muscle and nobody's patting you on the back and it's all working in the dark and all that sort of shit. So that's what this is, and I've not had as I said before, not had an off-season this long in a long time, and you have to remember that nobody gives a shit, realistically. When you're getting bigger, no one really cares. So, and it's only when you win something do people suddenly emerge out of the woodwork and go, oh, I've been following you for ages, you're amazing. It's like, thanks for the support, but like, I didn't know I've been doing this all seemingly on my own. So it's great to have that support. I'm not saying that I'm ungrateful for that, but at the same time, you do go through periods where it's not as big as it was, and you're not getting the attention, and you're not getting this, you're not getting that, and that's why it shouldn't matter to you. You should just be doing it for you and not for a camera, not for a social media presence. And I know that's why you get paid for a lot of people these days, but it also drags people down from being good competitors because they get too caught up in the limelight. So you do have to just sit back and do your normal life, and if you want to put it on social media, that's great. If it doesn't get any fucking likes, who the fuck cares? You can keep posting it and it's just for you. So that's why I use my Instagram as like a log of what I'm doing rather than trying to make it pure bait. Because if I wanted to make it pure bait, I'd just put my ass in every single fucking thing, wouldn't I? So, but yeah. Anyway, this has been a fun time. So we'll do another one in however long, and I'll be bigger and fatter by then. And closer to the next prep, which is obviously what you all want to see, as I just mentioned then. So yeah, maybe I'll be like 111 next time, I don't know, whatever. And my ankles will hurt and my lower back will hurt and I'll be like, what happy? But yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Like, share and subscribe, do all those fun bits. Go tell a friend, all that shit. And maybe play it in Ultraflex again. Anyway, have a good one. I'll see you in the next one.